Hello, Scrappy Peeps. Suzanna here today for Spiegelbaum Scraps, and I am here to share with you a process video on how to make that in the top middle square there, a sequins shaker, but instead of using acetate, I am actually going to use Tulle. And I thought that with this particular pattern paper from Cocoa Vanilla Studio that it added a really soft finish to the shaker, and I thought it was a great way of being able to incorporate sequins into a softer type layout. So the layout is actually based on a sketch from Scrapbook Generations. It's one of their free downloads, and I knew when I saw this sketch that I wanted to use the Cocoa Vanilla Studio collection More Than Words and incorporate this particular sequins mix into the layout and create this pocket. So basically what I'm doing is I knew that I had that square frame in the Cocoa Vanilla Studio collection, and I knew that that was going to be the basis for my squares. Now the Scrapbook Generations sketches do come with particular sizes, but I didn't want to go with that size necessarily because I knew that I wanted all of the squares to be uniform and that I wanted to use that frame, and that frame was going to be the shaker. So what I'm doing is, and it's taking an awfully long time, but I basically used the 4x3 cards and the 4x6 cards that were on that particular sheet of pattern paper, and I wanted to use most of the pattern papers as having come from those squares of sheets so that I didn't cut into too much, just a teeny tiny square out of too many of the papers. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find an arrangement of those 9 squares that is pleasing to the eye and incorporates a decent amount of patterns, solids, and balance in the colors. So you can see when you look at the layout that the blues, I'm going to call them blues, they're really not quite blue, that the teals or the turquoises, I'm going to call it teal, that the teals create a visual triangle. And then the grays in the layout create a bit of a visual triangle. And the pinks, not so much, but there is movement across the page through the pinks. And you can see how that teal below the photo in the middle bottom square there is very heavy, but I knew that the photo was going to cover it and it was going to soften some of the heaviness of the placement of that square. And so I've gotten my ruler out to try and line things up. When you work with these right angles, to me, making sure that everything is equally spaced is really important, because otherwise you have this random square that just kind of stands out and ruins the balance of everything. So I did get out my Imaginease quilting square to really line things up properly. And the way I like to line things up is I always line everything up on the outside first, so that all of those bottom lines are straight. And if there is something that's a little bit off, I can kind of fudge it into the middle where it's not so obvious. And then I also knew the placement of my picture would help cover up some mistakes if I had any of those. So I'm going to put all of these squares down. And then that is really the background of the layout, and that gives me room to continue to design. So you can see how I'm lining that up, and I'm just pushing the paper flush to that ruler. Now I could have used my, it's not a Tim Holtz ruler, I'm not sure what ruler it is. I could have used my other straight edge with the metal edge on it. However, I really liked that this ruler had I'm going to call it a thicker depth to it that allowed me to butt the paper up to it and really line this up. So to make the shaker, I've just got some tulle. It's from the bridal section in Michael's. And I'm going back into the frame with this double-sided tape and remove the backing and then stick the tulle directly to that. So that creates the window, and it's a fine enough tool that the sequence that's there is not going to push through to the other side, and it still allows you to really see the nice shimmer of the sequence, and it doesn't compete with the shimmer of the acetate, which is what I often find happens. I also find that it's a much looser cover to that window, to that shaker window, and so you get much more shaking of the shaker than you would if you were to use acetate. I've got the layout in my hand right now, and you can probably hear me shaking it, which I don't find that I get when I'm using the acetate windows. And so then I'm going to put another layer of the double-sided tape on top of the tool, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to put another, yeah, I am going to put another layer. That's what I'm doing, is I'm putting another layer because I've now got to stick that down to the paper. So I put the sequins directly onto the paper where I want it to go under that window, and that is the Spiegel Mom Scraps Tropical Breeze sequins mix, and I thought it matched perfectly with this Cocoa Vanilla Studio collection. So you can see where I'm putting down the additional double-sided tape. I'm going to pull off that extra backing layer and then set that down plop right on top of the sequence for that little shaker there. Just like that. So it's perfectly lined up, and there you go. There's that sequence shaker. Isn't that beautiful? And it's kind of got a softer look that goes really nicely with the papers. So there is the foundation of the layout. Now it's just time to build layers, add embellishments, and have fun. So that is not part of the collection. That is some really old studio calico, but I knew I needed some more blue or teal or aqua or whatever you want to call it. And so that is why I incorporated that into there. I also really wanted to have a bit of a shelf to rest the title on, and I knew that I was going to use letter stickers that didn't go with the collection as well, and so that needed something to nestle on as well. So I decided to convert the picture to black and white because I just felt that the black and white would be showcased better on this pattern paper. And this picture is a friend of mine. Jackie and I have known each other for at least 20 years. I met Jack when I was in PT school, so I'm going to age myself there. And I graduated from high school in '90. And I started PT school my third year into college. So it would have been 1994, and I had finished my first year of classes. So I probably met her in 1994. Yeah, so she and I have known each other a long, long time. And Jack was out here in Virginia visiting and called me and said, hey, can we get together? So I have not seen her in a super long time, and it was just great to catch up and pick up right where we left off. What I've got in my hand here is just some thread. It's just some pink thread, and I put it under the butterfly. I really like thread balls, as I call them. Those of you who know me know that that's what they are underneath butterflies, because to me they're kind of like that movement of a butterfly, and that's why I like to stick them there. Sometimes they go under flowers, but on this particular layout it's going to go under that chipboard butterfly. So I'm going to adhere this picture of Jackie and I down, and then I'm just going to build those other layers. I have a trio of flowers that move from the title to the photo down to the other bottom side of that photo. That gray spot there, it's the middle of the right-hand column that I am going to journal into. And so I put that blue label on that bottom right square because I felt that I created that blue visual triangle. So the top left corner comes down to the flower in the photo and then over to the right over there, and that's how I create that blue visual triangle in there. And you do get some of that blue in the arrow that is to the top right. However, most of that gets covered by this big old chipboard hello here, which is going to be part of the title, which will say hello, and I'm going to get some other letters that just says friend. My original plan had actually been to write "Hello, long lost friend," only she wasn't lost, so I had to get rid of the lost, and I also didn't really have room for that, and that's why the title became "Hello, Friend." So this, my friends, is my layout for Spiegelmom Scraps. I'm just going to adhere a couple of other things down and finish the title. If you are interested in some sequins and you use the code Suzanna with a Z, so SUZANNA 15, you can get 15% off your entire purchase. If you have any questions about the way that Sequins tool shaker came together, please do leave them in the box down below, and I will be sure to get back to you. If you have any questions about anything else, please don't also hesitate to leave those in the box down below. If you enjoyed the video, a thumbs up would be great, and I hope to see you back again soon. Thanks for stopping in today. I hope you're doing well. Take care.